Hello everybody, it's Slam Tilt, and this is Jaws Legendary Edition, but I'm not going to be talking about Jaws Legendary Edition. Oh no, I'm going to be talking about Stern's Jaws. Now, I've seen the gameplay footage, I've seen the trailers that they've produced, so I've got an idea now of the kind of game they've produced, so I thought it'd be fun if I play my game and talk about their game. So let's do that, shall we? Now this is obviously my Legendary Edition version, which I've been working on for many years. It was originally built by Rom. Rom did the original layout and the artwork, and then I came along and wrote the code, did the audio design, lighting, everything else, and it's kind of developed into the game that it is now. So Stern have done their own version of the game, and I was a bit worried that they were going to pinch all my ideas that I put into this game. So I've been watching very closely, and they haven't. It appears that they've done their own original version, which is unfortunate because I basically used all the best ideas in this version of the game. I mean, everybody wants to see the shark eat the ball, and they haven't done that. They have the shark, a tiny little toy, popping up from underneath the boat, which is terrible. They should have done what they did in Jurassic Park. They should have had this big shark head like I've got there in this version of the game, where it's a bash toy and then it opens its mouth and you can lock balls. But in this version of the game I also have it as a hazard, so during multi-balls he will open his mouth and he will swallow balls which are shot into his mouth by mistake. So it's it just basically punishes the player for inaccurate shots, which I think is a great way of teaching players how to shoot responsibly, to have an extra hazard on a game. So the Stern game has this tiny little shark that doesn't eat the ball, and that's disappointed a lot of people. I think what they should have done, and I think I did leave a message on the comments of the latest video, that under Ben Gardner's boat, famously in the film, what do they find under Ben Gardner's boat? Well, they find Ben Gardner's severed head. A scene in the film which scared the bejesus out of me when I was a kid and gave me nightmares for years. But that's what they should have done. They should have had the head popping out from underneath the boat, kind of like they did in The Walking Dead. And it's a bash toy. You bash his head, and then obviously the shark should have been more prominent. But they didn't do that. They've gone a different way. So they made a very conscious decision not to copy this version of the game and do their own thing. So they've done some very interesting things with the layout. They've got a single bumper on the right side, which is great. They've got the upper playfield trap as well, which is quite clever. I've never seen that before. I've never even thought about doing that myself. We can actually trap the ball and hold it with an upper flip. I think that's quite an interesting idea. The audio design seems to be pretty good. There's too many clips and they don't play in the right way. You can't have movie clips for every single call out. They do this with VPX. You know, they have a video clip playing for every call out, which is horrendous. You've got to limit the use of video clips because it makes them special when they're used periodically, and they only play at very specific moments, like that. You know, and you'll only see that like very rarely. You probably only see that once in the game. If you saw that like all the time, it would the impact of that clip wouldn't be quite as dynamic. And so what they've also done as well is they have this barren open area in the playfield, and everything's kind of pushed to the top part of the playfield, including the upper playfield, which is the Orca boat. Now the reason that the normal reason why you have an open playfield in games is you probably have magnets in the center of the playfield, or you have things that pop up. Like in this game, there are pop-up sharks. I think there's about 6 of them. So that's why this playfield is open, because things will actually populate the playfield from underneath. Now I thought the shark, what they were going to do is they were going to have a big head of the shark coming up from the center of the playfield, like the Iron Man or the Ironmonger on the Iron Man table, where it comes up and you bash it and then it opens its mouth and then it takes the ball back under the playfield, which would have been perfect. But they didn't do that, so I'm surprised to see the game with such a wide open area, which doesn't seem to have magnets or any kind of pop-up targets in that area, so that like everything's pushed up towards the top. But you can't argue with Keith Elwin's design. He is a master of his craft and very popular. But this does appear to be his least popular playfield layout. For some reason, people just don't seem to like it that much. But the proof is in the playing, really. You've got to play the game before you make that kind of final judgment. Now, in my game, I use all the assets from the first film and the second film. All the actors, including the mayor, including Brody's wife, everybody's in it, which adds to the authenticity. And obviously I use every track from John Williams' score is in it as well, and that's very important as well. But you have to use the music in the right way, because a music score is written specifically for movie scenes. The movie is created first, it's edited together, and then the score is written after the movie is complete, so they can see the action and write the music accordingly. So that's how you've got to use a movie soundtrack in a pinball game. You have to work it around the action on the table. So that's what I did. I just basically copied the scenes in the film as best I could, and then used the same piece of music in the same way that it was used in the film to sort of create the same kind of atmosphere. Including sort of just before a multi-ball starts, the music will change, it will slow down to build tension. And you can also do that with the lights as well. So the whole idea of my game is to create the best possible immersive film experience that is possible to get in any video game. Not just pinball, but any video game. You'd never get this in any video game because they just wouldn't have the freedom. Which is what I want. It's kind of like a fun fair ride. I mean, that's how I design my games. I design my games like theme park rides. You want the player to have the complete movie experience. That's what the player wants, and that's what I give them. But it has to have everything in it. It has to be authentic. It's the only way. So I'm glad that Stern seemed to have full access to all the assets for this game. They've got all the music. They seem to have all the stars, which is a step in the right direction. They're not using sound-alikes anymore, and they're not using in-house music, which just doesn't sound anything like the film. They have used some sort of sea shanty music, which doesn't fit at all. That's a mistake, but they're using that specifically for Quint's challenge mode, I think. They needed a piece of music for that, but they could have picked something much better than that. They could have picked something from the original soundtrack. So in terms of the differences between the Pro, the Premium, and the LE, now I don't like the idea of LEs. I really don't like that at all. I think they should just make one pinball game for everybody at the same price point. The idea of having an LE, which is clearly targeted at people who have money, it's just not fair. Because if you can only afford the Pro, you're getting the shit version of the game, which is always the case. They should never do LEs. The LEs should be the standard, basically. I don't know why they do that, and that's something that I would never do. I would never produce like an LE version of this game. It's just one game for everybody and one price. That's what I would do if I had a pinball company. I wouldn't fanny about with LEs. But you have to bear in mind, these are money-making companies. They are in it to make money first and foremost. But you have an obligation when you enter into the entertainment industry, and that's what pinball is. It is part of the entertainment industry. It's part of the gaming division of the entertainment industry. You have a responsibility to entertain your consumer. And if you choose to make a pinball game, you have to make sure that it's absolutely the most fun it could possibly be. And this is where Stern are still making mistakes. They're focusing too much on scoring points. Something that the average Joe doesn't give two shits about. I don't give a shit about points. Here I am playing the game. I don't care what the score is. All I'm doing is I'm trying to start missions and live through play through the moments in the film. That's what I want. I want the experience. The points are happening in the background. It's the points are there, but it's not the main focus of my games. My main focus of the game is just take the player through the events of the film and give them a great thrill ride, if you like. So, and that's the problem with Keith Elwin. You see, he is a tournament player. He was the best player in the world, so he's focusing his rules on getting big points and combos and bringing modes into multi-balls, and all that kills the game, in my opinion. You don't bring modes into multi-ball because now you've got confusion. Like, you're trying to play one specific scene from the film, and all of a sudden you're in a multi-ball. It's kind of like watching the film on multiple screens and seeing the film at different points in the film. It's like, it doesn't work. If you're making a pinball game and you want the player to be focused on one particular scene in the film, you focus everything on that. You don't interfere by bringing extra balls in and things like that. That's the way I do it. That's how I retain the player's interest, is just not to confuse them. Ooh, so we'll play Killer Shark. Now, Killer Shark is the video game that's in the first movie. Now, I was going to produce a video mode, but I thought this is a much better idea. So you just use the harpoon, and I missed. And the idea of that mode is that you win a perk for the next game. So if I'd have hit that little shark that popped up, I would have probably got an extra few seconds on the ball saver. I would have maybe got an extra ball at the start. Timers would have been improved. There's all kinds of different perks that I've added to the game, which encourages people to play the very next game. Rather than add the perks to the current game, they add it to the next game. And I did the same thing with Blade Runner, which I think is a genius idea, and it's a way of keeping people playing. So if you're not very good at pinball, the more you play, the more perks you can unlock, and eventually you'll be able to play a game with all these perks unlocked, and you'll be able to beat the game. Genius! Of course, genius. So that's my thoughts on Stern's game. They've done a great job. They could have done so much better than they have done. They've gone after the big licenses, and I'm pretty sure they've got Back to the Future in their sights, and possibly the Muppets as well. They seem to have a good relationship with Disney. These are big tables that they haven't made yet. But yeah, certainly Back to the Future is the one that everybody's waiting for now. A lot of people have been waiting for Jaws, and now they've received it. They want something else. And this is the problem with pinball as well, is that you give them what they want, and they immediately want something else. They're insatiable. The appetite is insatiable. It's the same with virtual pinball. You give them these amazing games, they play them for a few hours, and then they want something else. They want something new. Even though they've got like a pin cap with 1,000 games on it, they still want more. And I'm the same. You know, I always want more. Anyway, so that's my take on Stern's Jaws while playing my own version of Jaws. Well, my collaboration with Rom's version of Jaws. Anyway, I'll catch you later. Toodaloo.
You all know me. Know how I earn a living? I value my neck more than 2,300 subscribers, Chief. I'll catch this bird for you. But it ain't gonna be easy. It ain't gonna be cheap. I'll catch him, and I'll kill him for 10,000 subscribers. For that, you get the backlash, playfield, the whole damn thing.